The stars outside the bridge window didn't move. They never did. The patrol ship Velatron floated quietly in Sector 19 Beta, far from trade lanes or colonies. It was just another boring sweep of space. Commander Rallick yawned and leaned back. In his chair, his long, scaled fingers tapped the control panel lightly. No traps, no traffic, no excitement, he mumbled. Lieutenant Sora, sitting at the sensor station, gave a tired smile. If something ever happened out here, I think I'd faint from shock. Suddenly, the console beeped once, then again, then faster. Sora leaned forward. Her smile faded. Commander, I have a signal. It's strange. Rallick sat up. Strange how? It's not in the database. No language, no pattern, just noise. She pressed a few buttons, but it's powerful. Rallick frowned. Origin? Sora hesitated. Sector edge. Approximately 120,000 kilometers and closing. Could be a meteor, Rallick said. Could be, she agreed. But meteors don't pulse like this. On the screen, the signal's pattern changed, slow bursts turning rapid, almost like a heartbeat. Rallick stood and walked over. Put it on speakers. The bridge filled with a low, rumbling hum. It wasn't just sound, it vibrated in their bones. Ensign Vought on engineering. Combs winced. Commander, I'm getting power fluctuations in the lower decks. Rallick's eyes narrowed. We're not even moving. Exactly, Vought replied. Something's interfering. Sora tapped her screen again. Sir, the signal's getting stronger. And there's something else. What? Rallick asked. A shadow. It's on the edge of our long-range scan. Massive. Like Dreadnought class. Massive. Rallick's heart skipped a beat. There were no dreadnoughts in this sector. He turned all stations alert status yellow. Charge shields. Begin active scans. Already tried, sir, Sora said, her voice tense. Scanners won't respond. Rallick stared at her. What do you mean? They just won't. It's like something is turning them off. Vought's voice returned on the comm. Commander, we've lost engine control. Navigation's frozen. Rallick's eyes moved to the main screen. There, emerging slowly from the dark, was a shape, black, silent, no lights. It didn't glow like their ships. It didn't hum with power. It just was, and it was enormous. The bridge fell silent. That's no meteor, Sora whispered. The unknown ship came closer, slow and deliberate. No transmissions, no visible weapons. But the Velatron's lights flickered again. Then the temperature dropped, Sir Vought said. Our core is losing stability. Something's draining us. Rallick spoke with forced calm. Try hailing them. Use every frequency. Sora tried again and again. No reply, no bounce back. It's like we're shouting into a black hole. The ship stopped just 2,000 kilometers off their bow, still silent. Then their lights died completely. Red emergency glow took over. Rallick's comm crackled. Bridge, this is medbay. All biomonitors just reset. Crew vitals unreadable. Engineering. To bridge came Vought's voice again. We're dead in space. Life support's failing. Backup systems are wait, something's inside. Rallick spun toward the comm. Repeat that. There's movement, I think. I think it's inside the walls. Sora backed away from her station. Commander, what is that thing? Looked back at the black ship. I don't know, he said, but it's not here to talk. Suddenly, all monitors flashed on at once. A single symbol appeared. Not alien, not code. It was a letter. English, just one word. Observe. Sora gasped. That's a human word. Rallick stared. How do you know? I studied fringe linguistics. It's old Earth. It means someone's watching. Before he could reply, the word vanished. The ship turned slowly, then vanished into the dark. The Velatron shook, then everything powered. Back up at once. Lights, gravity, engines. As if nothing had happened. Systems are responding. Vought reported. Sora looked pale. Commander, that wasn't just tech. That ship changed space. Rallick nodded slowly. Log everything. Transmit back to High Command. Tag it first contact. Hesitated. Do you think it was a warship? He looked at the cold black space where the ship had vanished. Yes, he said quietly, and I think that was the kindest version of it. Hours later, in the Galactic High Command chamber, the footage was played to a silent audience. Of over 70 alien species, Leaders stared at the black, silent ship, at the single human word. A technician whispered, "Their ship never activated weapons. It didn't need to, just its presence shut everything down." Another diplomat shook his head. "That's impossible. No race has power like that." An older council member leaned forward. "I warned you," he said softly. "Humans don't speak loudly. They let their machines speak." A vote began. Should they approach Earth in peace or prepare for war? But Earth had already sent a reply. A message played across the chamber. This was a demonstration. The next one will not be quiet. And then, once again, silence. But this time, it was terrifying. The alien patrol ship, Velatron, drifted through deep space, still recovering from what had happened. Their systems were back, lights stable, engines humming, but something felt broken, not in the ship, but in the crew. Commander Rallick stood. Silently in the bridge, his claws gripped the metal rail as he watched the blackness beyond the glass. He didn't say a word. Neither did Lieutenant Sora. No one did. The shadow of that warship, silent, massive, deadly still, lingered in their minds. Commander Sora finally whispered, "I've reviewed the footage 5 times. That ship, it didn't appear. It arrived." Rallick turned. "What's the difference?" Sora's eyes didn't leave the screen. Ships appear on sensors. They give off energy, they leave traces. This one didn't. It was just there. Rallick didn't respond. Instead, he activated the bridgecom. "Engineering, status." Vought answered immediately. "All systems green." "But I ran a scan of our black box." "Sir, every time that human ship got closer, our data feed warped like space itself was bending. We didn't just lose power, we lost time." Rallick's jaw tightened. "Are you saying it's using temporal interference?" "I don't know," Vought replied, "but I've never seen tech like that. It didn't attack, it didn't jam us. It just overwhelmed reality around it." Suddenly, Sora's console beeped again. Not an error, a contact. She froze. "Sir." "It's back." Rallick rushed to her station. Location, same heading. "It's approaching slowly, but deliberately." Rallick clenched his fists, raised shields, "Prepare for evasive maneuvers." Sora tried. "I can't raise the shields." "Controls are locked." Rallick's voice turned cold. "How is it locking our systems before it arrives?" Sora whispered. "Because it never really left." A moment later, the massive dark shape slid silently into view again. No weapons, no signals, no noise. Just presence. It felt like a god was watching them. "Try hailing," Rallick ordered. Cora opened the channels. "This is Commander Rallick of the patrol ship Velatron. We are peaceful. Identify yourself." No reply. She tried again. "Unknown vessel, you are entering secure space. Please respond." Nothing. Then the screen flickered. A new message appeared in the same human letters as before. "Do not interfere." Rallick read the words out loud. Sora whispered, "Sir, this is a warning." "From who?" he asked. "I think from Earth." The ship moved closer. But instead of stopping this time, it passed them, slow, silent, towering like a shadow of death. As it passed, the Velatron shuddered again. Lights dimmed. Hull temperature dropped by 10 degrees instantly. Then, without a word or a trace, the warship vanished into hyperspace. Not with a flash, not with a jump. It simply was gone. Vought's voice returned. "Commander, that thing just slipped out of normal space without opening a gate." "How is that possible?" Rallick looked at the empty screen. "We're dealing with something beyond science." Sora turned to him. "Should we report it again?" Rallick nodded. "Send everything to High Command. Full logs, visuals, audio. And this time, tell them the humans are not testing weapons. They're making a statement," Sora finished. Meanwhile, in the Galactic High Council, the footage played again for the top military minds of the Empire. General Uthor watched silently. The other admirals whispered around him. That ship could disable systems without firing. It broke their sensors, their engines, even time flow. How is this possible? Humans don't have this kind of tech. Uthor raised a hand. Enough. The room went silent. He stood. Humans were once seen as weak, primitive, isolated, but clearly we misjudged them. An old diplomat asked, "Do you think this was an act of war?" Uthor shook his head. If they wanted war, the Velatron would be debris. Another general leaned forward. "So what is this?" Utho's eyes narrowed, a show of power, and a warning, "We can end you without touching you." The room grew cold. Then a signal flashed across the table. Incoming transmission. From Earth, no video, no face, just text. "This is the Vindicator-class ship from Earth. You are watching. We are aware. Next time, approach with respect." Then silence, no trace, no signal origin. Just like the ship, the alien council stared in horror. They knew we were watching. Someone whispered. They allowed it. Another added. General Uthor sat down heavily. "Begin emergency protocols. Do not send scouts near Sol, not without permission." "We are no longer the superior race, but," one admiral asked, "how did humans build something like that?" Uthor replied, "That's the question I intend to answer. Because if one warship exists." He paused. Double quotes, ... there may be more. Back on the Velatron, Rollick watched the stars again. Sora walked beside him, her voice soft. "We've patrolled for 10 years, seen pirates, smugglers, battlecruisers, but nothing like that." Rollick nodded. It didn't fire, didn't speak, and still, it felt like death itself had passed by. "What do we do now?" Rollick looked at her. "We prepare, we study, and most of all, we stay far away from Earth." The human warship moved like a ghost through space. No sound, no signal, no trace. It was called Vindicator, a Titan-class stealth warship, built not for war, but for one thing only: control. Inside, the walls were dark steel. The lights were dim. The air was cold and clean. Captain Ares stood in front of the main viewing screen. His uniform was simple black with a silver stripe across the chest. No medals, no decorations, just the symbol of Earth, a broken chain around a planet. "Status report," he said calmly. A voice answered from behind. It belonged to Lieutenant Vega, the ship's tactical officer. "All systems stable. Cloak engaged. Observer-class drones are active and returning." Ares nodded, and the alien patrol ship, Vega, smiled slightly. Frightened, disabled, but alive. As planned, Ares turned toward her. Any aggression from them? "No, sir. They tried hailing us. We didn't respond, and they're fleet." High Command intercepted transmissions. "They're shaken. The Council is in emergency session." Ares walked slowly toward his command chair and sat down. He didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, "Play back the moment we revealed the message." The screen lit up. A single word appeared. "Observe, then, the second message. Do not interfere." Ares watched in silence. "That should be enough," he said. "Let them fear the silence. Let them fear what they don't understand." Vega looked at him. "Do you think they'll act?" "They won't," Ares replied, "because they don't know how to fight something they can't see." He stood again. "And that's our strength. Not power, not fire, but mystery behind." "Him," a deep voice spoke. "Captain." It was Commander Holt, the ship's AI specialist. He stood beside a glowing sphere of blue energy, the core AI, known only as Echo. "The alien council attempted to trace our jump path," Holt said. Ares raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess they failed." "Yes," ECHO's voice replied. It was calm and almost human. "They tried using dimensional mapping. Our warp signature bent their data. They're looking in the wrong galaxy." Ares smiled. "Perfect." Echo continued. "However, there is something new. One of their science ships is approaching the edge of Sol space. Quietly, no weapons. Likely another observation. Send a drone," Ares said. "Let them know we saw them first." Vega pressed a button. A small black sphere detached from the ship and zipped into hyperspace. Ares turned to her. "Make sure it stays invisible. No direct contact." "Understood." The captain walked back to the viewing screen. The stars were still, but in his mind, the galaxy was already moving, shifting, changing. The message had been sent. Now, the waiting began. Hundreds of light years away, the science vessel Kyrax floated at the edge of Sol system. Its crew of 11 worked quietly, scanning distant planets, moons, and strange satellites. The captain of the Kyrax, Commander Seln, tapped her claws on the console. "Strange readings," she muttered. Her science officer, Grent, looked over. Magnetic fields? No. Something else. A presence. Grint laughed nervously. We're all a little jumpy after what happened to the Velatron. Selene didn't smile. We're not imagining this. Then her monitor blinked. Contact, she whispered. Where? Grint asked. Above us. They looked up Hansel. Nothing. Then, slowly, a shape appeared. Black, round, silent. It hovered without moving. No lights, no energy readings. A drone, Grint said, voice shaking. Selene swallowed. It's watching us. Then the screen flashed again. Another human message. This is your only warning. Leave Earth space. The drone vanished. The crew sat frozen. We're going back, Selene said firmly. Now, Grint nodded without argument. Back on the Vindicator, ECHO reported the event. The alien science ship has turned back. Ares nodded. Good. Then he turned toward a small chamber in the center of the bridge. Its door opened with a hiss. Inside was a long silver pod, covered in glowing wires. Ares stared at it. What about the artifact? He asked. ECHO's voice grew lower, stable, still inactive, but pulsing slightly. Vega looked uneasy. We shouldn't have brought that thing aboard. We didn't find it, Ares said. We inherited it. Holt stepped forward. It's not human tech. It's far older, but somehow it speaks to our systems. It boosted our cloaking. Changed our warp field, Ares replied, and that's why no one must ever take it from us, Echo said quietly. Agreed. The artifact is the reason they fear us. They don't understand it. That gives us power. Vega nodded. So what's our next move? Ares looked at her. We wait. Let the fear grow. Let them guess how many ships. We have let them wonder where we got our power. He paused, and when they come to talk peace, we'll decide if they deserve it. Back on the alien homeworld, panic was rising. In the council chamber, reports flooded in. The science ship was warned off. They detected us before we arrived. We still can't trace their jump signature. A senior general stood. We must prepare for war. But another counselor, older and wiser, shook his head. You want to fight the shadows? He asked. You want to battle a ghost ship that kills engines with a thought and speaks without speaking? The room fell silent. Then a message arrived direct from Earth's diplomatic station. It read, You sent a ship to watch us. We sent one to watch you back. Don't do it again. One sentence. But it changed everything. The council voted no war, no contact, no interference. From that moment on, Earth was left alone. But deep inside the council minds, one fear remained. How many more ships like Vindicator were out there? And worse, what was hidden inside them? The High Galactic Council sat in complete silence. 12 species, 12 voices. But today, none of them spoke. On the giant screen above them, a single sentence blinked in white text. You sent a ship to watch us. We sent one to watch you back. Don't do it again. It came from Earth. No face, no name, just a message, and no one knew how it was sent. It didn't come through our usual channels, said Counselor Dren of the Kaltari Empire. His long arms shook slightly. This message passed through 6 different cum relays and left no trace. Counselor Velk, leader of the Talon Union, leaned forward. A race that can send messages without using our network and do it instantly should not be ignored. Counselor Riva from the insectoid Virach clicked her mandibles. We already ignored them. That was the mistake. The head chair, Supreme Speaker Millar, stood. His face was pale. His voice was slow. We are facing something dangerous. Something we don't understand. He looked at the screen again. The human ship Vindicator peered without warning. It disabled one of our patrol ships, then it left without firing a single shot. And now, this. He raised his hand. A second screen lit up, showing the message Earth had sent earlier. This was a demonstration. The next one will not be quiet. Murmurs filled the chamber. They're threatening us. They've shown restraint. This is war. This is warning. Counselor Dren stood again. We need more information. We need to know how many ships Earth has like. That one. If Vindicator is one of many, they could destroy us, Velk finished. No, said Riva suddenly. If they wanted to destroy us, they would have already. The room went quiet again. Counselor Gorax from the armored Brand Dominion stood up. He was the loudest war supporter. Cowards, he shouted. You fear shadows and empty words. I say we send a fleet. Let's see how strong Earth really is." Malor replied sharply. "And if you're wrong, you risk all our lives, all our colonies." Gorak slammed his fist on the table. "So what? Let them walk over us?" "No," said a quiet voice from the far end of the room. Everyone turned. It was Archivist Zell, the oldest member of the council, blind in one eye, his skin dry and wrinkled. He rarely spoke, but when he did, others listened. "Let me tell you what I've found," Zell said slowly. "We looked at humans and saw a young species, a planet-born race. But I dug deeper. I went into records older than the council itself." He held up a device. "This is from a forgotten outpost near the galactic rim. It contains a warning written thousands of cycles ago." He tapped the device. A symbol appeared, a planet, half covered in chains, half on fire. Zell continued. "The records speak of a race that once escaped extinction by breaking themselves. They rewired their biology, changed their minds, their machines, their world." Dren narrowed his eyes. "You're saying humans have been here before?" "I'm saying," Zell said carefully, "this isn't their first rise." Velk whispered, "That warship, Vindicator. What if it isn't just advanced? What if it's ancient?" The council chamber grew cold suddenly. The doors opened. A scout officer stepped in. "Forgive the interruption," he said, bowing quickly, "but we just detected something new." Malor tensed. "What is it?" The scout handed him a tablet. 3 of our deep-range drones stopped sending data. All at once, all near the Sol system. Malor read the report. No sign of destruction. The scout said, "No wreckage, no signal, just silence." Counselor Riva hissed softly, "Vindicator again." The scout hesitated, but all 3 drones were cloaked, hidden they shouldn't have been seen. Malor turned to the council. "Let me be clear. Earth knows what we're doing before we do it. We should talk to them," Riva said. "Open, peaceful contact." "They won't talk," Velk argued. "They sent messages, yes, but only after we made a move. This is their game." Zell looked at the others. "They are watching, waiting. Every mistake we make. They learn every move. They calculate." He leaned forward. "We are not dealing with simple humans. We are dealing with something that's been preparing for a very long time." Gorak stood again. "Then what do we do? Sit in fear?" "No," Malor said finally. "We prepare quietly, secretly, and we do not provoke them again." The council agreed. For now, deep in a hidden military base on the 3rd moon of the Brand Dominion, General Gorax walked through a dark tunnel. He was not done, not afraid. He entered a vault with steel walls and a long table. Several shadowy figures stood around it. "Is it ready?" Gorax asked. One of the scientists nodded. "Yes, General. The anti-human prototype ship is built using everything we've learned. It's fast, it's silent, and it's powered by a stolen core similar to theirs." Gorak smiled. "Perfect. Let's send it close. See if they notice." The scientist hesitated. "And if they do," Gorax's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll finally know if they're truly gods or just another species waiting to be broken." But far, far away aboard the human warship Vindicator, Captain Ares sat calmly at his station. Echo spoke softly. "Enemy prototype ship detected. Moving toward Sol perimeter." Ares didn't move. He only said 2 words. "Let it." The lights on the alien ship flickered again. Captain Varen stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glitching control screens. The crew had spent hours trying to restore full system function, but nothing stayed stable for long. One moment, they had power. The next, the screens turned black. Communications crackled with static. Even the gravity field had started to pulse like a heartbeat. Something unnatural was happening. "Any luck with the sensor array?" Varen asked. Lieutenant Jarrell, the ship's top technician, shook his head. "We rerouted power through backup cores, but the systems refuse to lock on to whatever's out there. It's like the universe is bending around the signal." "What do you mean?" Varen stepped closer. "I mean," Jarrell whispered, "it's not just interference. It's a presence, something aware." The bridge fell silent. Then the lights dimmed to red. The alert sirens didn't wail like usual. Instead, a low hum rose deep, and vibrating like a warning growl from the dark. "Brace for external scan," shouted the navigation officer. "Something just swept across our hull fast." The crew clutched consoles, but there was no impact, just silence, and then a voice. A voice not from there comes not from the speakers. It came from the walls. From the air, you were warned, it said in clear, calm English. Baron froze. Who said that? He demanded, where's the source? But no one could answer. Gerald checked the frequency logs. That voice didn't come from any system. Captain, it wasn't broadcast. It just appeared. The crew looked at each other in horror. Translate it again, Varen ordered. Although he already knew the message was in Earth's language, English, you were warned. That was all. A warning. But of what? Hours passed in eerie silence. The crew moved like ghosts, afraid to speak above whispers. Everyone felt it now, pressure in the air, like a storm about to break. Suddenly, Ensign Rinna shouted, Captain! External camera feed is back briefly. Put it on screen, Varen barked. The main view screen flickered on, and there it was. For the first time, they saw it, the human warship. It didn't look like their own ships. No elegant curves, no shining white alloy. It was a massive black spearhead, rough and brutal in design. It had no insignia, no lights. It didn't need them, but the worst part, it wasn't moving. It was just floating, watching distance. Varen asked. 200,000 kilometers, said the sensor officer. But, sir, it's not on our scanners. Visually, yes. Technically, it's not there. Varen clenched his fists. What kind of technology is this? Then came the second warning. The crew heard it all at once. This time, it wasn't a voice. It was an image burned into every screen on the ship. It showed a planet, an alien colony, then it showed fire, destruction, and silence. After 2 seconds, the screens returned to normal. That was Kirith, said Rinna, pale as bone. That was our outpost on the outer rim. That outpost hasn't reported in days, said Jarrell. We assumed it was solar storms. Varen's voice was cold. No, that was the humans. Panic broke out on the bridge. Some shouted, some froze. Others simply refused to believe. We need reinforcements, someone cried. We need to tell the Empire, but the communications were down again. Varen stared at the place where the image had burned itself into the screen. This wasn't just a warship, this was a message. The humans weren't hiding, they were letting the galaxy know. We're here. We see you, and we can strike whenever we want. Captain, said Rinna, her voice shaking, we're completely exposed. Varen nodded, but then he said something no one expected. Good, let them see us. Let them test us. We're not cowards. Silence again, sir, asked Gerald. You're not suggesting we engage? No, said Varen, not yet. But we'll gather data, we'll study it, and when the time comes, we'll be ready. No one believed him. Even Varen didn't believe himself, because deep in his heart he knew the truth. This warship, this human vessel, it hadn't come for war. Not yet. It had come to give a final warning. And if the galaxy didn't listen, then the next time the humans wouldn't send just one ship, they'd send an armada. And by then, no warning would be needed. Captain Varel stood in the center of the command deck, staring at the empty screen. For the last 2 minutes, every system on the alien ship had gone dark again. Lights flickered, something they didn't understand. This is the third blackout today, Officer Dran said, his voice shaking. It feels, alive. Alive, Varel repeated. Explain. Dran opened his mouth, then closed it. I don't know. Every time the lights go off, Varel turned to the science officer. Kieran scanned the ship, life signs. All decks. Kareen's fingers moved across her console. Internal scans offline. Rebooting. A sharp screech came from Deck 4 over the intercom. Everyone froze. There's no crew down there. Send a drone, Varel ordered. But the drone system was offline too. Manual inspection. Then he said, Dran, you're with me? Suits on? 20 minutes later, Captain Varel and Officer Dran reached the lower deck. The walls were scratched. Long marks like claws. Did we bring something back from that signal? He said. Unknown biology. It's the scanner screen exploded in sparks. Smoke rose. The shadow vanished. Back to the elevator. They ran. The darkness behind them seemed to follow. Back on the bridge, Charon waited, nervously watching the power levels. Bridge to Captain, do you copy? She called out static. The doors behind her opened. She turned quickly, but it was only Varel and Dran panting, helmets off. There's something down there, Varel said. It's not just tech interference. We have a visitor. Dran's face was pale. It touched my suit. It was cold, like space itself. Charon stared at them. What do you mean, visitor? We're alone. Varel leaned forward. We don't know that anymore. This ship is no longer just ours. Charon gulped. Should we evacuate? We can't, Varel said. Escape pods are jammed. And that warship? It's still out there. Suddenly, the main screen turned on by itself. The human warship was visible again, but this time it was closer, much closer, and something was different. The ship's shape had changed, Charon said, voice shaking. It's evolving. Dran stepped back. That's not a ship anymore. That's alive. Impossible, Varel whispered. But the warship's image began to shift again. It was sending a signal one not made. Of data, but of ... emotion, terror, pain, hunger, kareen, grabbed her head. I can feel it. It's inside my mind. Dran fell to his knees. Make it stop. Varel slammed his fist on the console. Shut down all external feeds. Charon hit the emergency cutoff. The screen went dark. The pressure lifted. Everyone gasped for breath. Moments later, the emergency lights turned red. New alert, Charon said weakly. Hull breach, deck 4. Again, Varel said. We just left that deck. No, this breach isn't from the outside, Charon said. Captain, that thing, whatever it is, it's moving. Varel stared at the glowing red alert. Seal the deck. Vent it to space if you have to. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the ventilation shafts. Then, a whisper. It wasn't in any known language, but they all understood it. I see you. Varel's blood turned cold. That's not a machine, he said. That's something. Else? Charon turned slowly. It's using our systems, our scanners, our minds. It's learning, Dran said, from us. Then we'll stop giving it information, Varel said. It might already be in the AI. Then we burn it out, Varel said. Every file, every line of code. We fight. Just then, the lights turned pure white. A message appeared on every screen. We gave you a warning. A long silence followed. Then, the ship started shaking. Not from outside, from deep, within. Something was waking up. Something they didn't bring. Something that came with the signal. Brace yourselves, Varel shouted. For what? Dran yelled. But no answer came. Only the sound of metal. Twisting. And breathing. The alien boarding team had no idea what to expect. Captain Joran, leading the squad of elite Trellic warriors, stood inside the docking corridor, connecting their scout vessel to the human warship. His sharp claws gripped his plasma spear tightly. Behind him, 5 armored soldiers waited silently. The human ship was quiet. Too quiet, no response to hails, hissed one of the soldiers. Captain Joran nodded. Keep weapons ready. We move in. The door opened with a hiss. They stepped into a hallway filled with a strange, soft white light. The air smelled ... clean to clean, and it was warm, almost comfortable. Their scanners had stopped working the moment they stepped inside. All readings were blank. This is unnatural, whispered another soldier. No energy spikes, no heat readings, no life signs. But the ship is clearly active. Joran growled low. Humans hide. Be ready. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the hallway. You should not be here. The team froze. It wasn't a normal voice. It was calm, emotionless, and strange. It spoke galactic standard, but the tone was flat, unnatural. Joran raised his spear. Who speaks? Show yourself. Silence. Then the lights above flickered once. Doors on both sides of the hallway slowly opened, revealing absolutely nothing. Empty rooms, empty chairs. No signs of a crew. One soldier took a step forward. There's no one here, Captain. This ship is a ghost. Joran didn't agree. Ghosts don't speak. He pressed a button on his wrist. Scout vessel, this is Joran. Respond. Static. No reply. He tried again. Nothing. The ship had cut them off. The hallway suddenly dimmed, then changed color. A soft red glow filled the air. Warning lights began to flash. "It's a trap," one soldier shouted. "No," said Joran, his voice calm. "It's a message." A screen lit up at the far end of the hallway. A video began playing. It showed a recording of the alien scout ship, their ship, trying to back away from the human warship. Then it showed the interior of their own ship, the pilots screaming, lights flickering, everything malfunctioning. Then, static.it was the moment they lost control. They were being shown their own failure. "How do they have this footage?" one soldier asked, fear in his voice. The screen turned black again. Then a single line appeared. "You are now inside Earth's first line of defense." The lights went out. Complete darkness. Something moved. Joran could feel it. Something was in the hallway with them. One soldier screamed and fired wildly. Plasma bolts lit the hall but hit nothing. No target, just empty air. Then the light snapped. Back on, the soldier was gone. Only his weapon remained on the floor, smoking slightly. Joran turned around. "Form up." Defensive formation. But there were only 3 soldiers left. "Where's Vec? He was right behind me," cried one. "He vanished, like the other." Joran bared his teeth. "It's not a ghost. It's a system. An AI or a trap design. Something watching us, testing us." "But what does it want?" another asked, voice trembling. Then the voice returned, "To teach you what fear feels like." Another flash of light, another soldier gone. Just dust in the air, JORR, and was now alone with one surviving team member. "Captain, ... We need to leave." Joran didn't reply. He was staring ahead. A door at the far end of the hallway opened. Inside was a large, dark chamber. Something glowed red within. Without a word, Joran walked toward it. The other soldier followed, shaking. They entered the chamber. Inside was a massive control panel. In the center stood a strange object, a black cube hovering above a pedestal. Words floated in the air above it. "This is the core of the warship. Touch it and know." Joran looked at the cube. Was it a weapon? A message? A trap? "I'll do it," said the soldier beside him. "No, I will," said Joran. He stepped forward and slowly placed his clawed hand on the cube. Instantly, his vision went white. He wasn't in the ship anymore. He saw earth-blue oceans, green, forests, massive cities, then fire. He saw alien fleets attacking Earth, human cities destroyed. But then, he saw humans rising, rebuilding, faster than any other species. He saw Earth creating warships, training soldiers, developing machines far beyond what was known. He saw one human captain speak to a galactic council. "You came to conquer. You came to control. But we are not your prey. We are the storm." Then the war began. Human warships tore through enemy fleets. Planets fell silent. Empires crumbled. And then Joran saw himself watching, running, terrified. The vision ended. JORRN dropped. To his knees, the cube still floated silently above the pedestal. The other soldier reached out to help him up. "What did you see?" Joran looked up slowly. "We are not ready for them." Suddenly, the ship lights brightened. A soft hum filled the air. The voice returned, now gentler. "But you will remember." The hallway behind them lit up. The path to the exit was clear again. JORRN stood up. He turned to the last soldier. "Let's go. We've seen enough." They walked back through the corridor, silent. The ship released. Them, their scout vessels, systems returned to normal. They took off immediately, not daring to look back as they flew away. The human ship remained in place, silent, still, watching, waiting. The ship was dark. Commander Threx stood in silence, watching the blinking lights on the emergency panel. Only a few systems were still online. Everything else had shut down the moment the human warship sent that last pulse. "Status?" Threx asked in a cold voice. Zarni, the lead engineer, looked up from her station. Her scales were slick with sweat. "Navigation is offline. Engines are frozen. Life support is running on backups and communications." Zarni shook her head. "Gone." That pulse hit everything. Threx turned away, eyes narrowing. Outside the viewing window, the human warship still hovered in space, silent, still. But watching it hadn't fired a single weapon, and yet it had brought their entire ship to its knees. "How are they doing this?" Threx whispered. Deep in the core of the alien ship, Technician Varn was crawling through the maintenance shaft. He held a glowing tool in one hand and a sensor scanner in the other. Sparks lit the narrow space. "I found something," Varn whispered into his cum. "What is it?" Zarni's voice crackled weakly through the static. Varn shined his light on the wall. A small black device, no larger than a coin, was stuck between the power relays. "This isn't ours," he said slowly. "A tracker?" Zarni asked. Varn shook his head, even though she couldn't see him. "No, it's more advanced. This thing is pulsing with dark energy." Suddenly, the device blinked dot. Then everything went black dot. In the command room, alarms exploded. "Core systems just rebooted," shouted a pilot, without commands. Threx barked, "Yes, sir. Something's taking control remotely." On the screen, new symbols appeared, symbols in Earth's language. "Decrypt it." Threx ordered. Zarni stared at the screen, heart pounding. "I don't need to. I recognize it." "What does it say?" She gulped. "It says, 'Warning. Pursue next interference will result in destruction.'" Threx's jaw tightened. "They're inside our ship." Meanwhile, inside the human warship, silence filled the dark bridge. The crew wore black visors, faces hidden, expressions unreadable. Dot at the center stood Captain May. She stared at the alien ship through a cold glass viewport. Her voice broke the silence. "Status. All systems nominal," her officer replied. "The implant worked. They found the signal trap." May nodded, "And the warning?" "Sent. They decrypted it instantly." May crossed her arms. "They won't listen. They never do." The officer hesitated. "Should we destroy them now?" May shook her head. "No, let them fear. Let them realize what they're facing." Back on the alien ship, panic was rising. Systems turned on and off randomly. Lights flickered. Doors locked themselves. A low hum echoed through the ship like a voice, whispering from the shadows. One crew member screamed. He swore he saw a figure moving in the hallway, armored, glowing red. "There's nothing there," his partner shouted. "You're imagining it," but the fear was real then. One by one, the security drones on board turned their weapons. "Inward, shut them down," Threx shouted. "We can't," Zarni cried. "The control codes have changed. They're not ours anymore." The ship began to shake. It wasn't a weapon strike. It was internal. "They're tearing us apart." From the inside, Threx whispered. Suddenly, a voice filled the ship. It was calm. "Human, you were warned." Everyone froze. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "You fired on our signal. You scanned our ship. You attempted to board. US, no one boarded them." Threx shouted back. The voice ignored him. "You were given a chance to turn back." The lights dimmed again. "This is your final warning. Leave. Do not follow. Do not provoke, or we will end this." The screen in front of Threx lit up again. This time it showed a human face. Captain May, expression cold, eyes unblinking. Then, the screen went dark, the shaking stopped, the systems came back online. Silence. Everyone just stood there. No one spoke, no one moved. Threx took a shaky breath and sat down. "What was that?" Zarni whispered. "A message," Threx said, "but we didn't even attack them." Threx looked up, face pale. "We didn't have to." Far away, the human warship slowly rotated and turned. Then it vanished into a tear in space faster than light. No sound, no trail, just silence. Zarni turned to Threx. "What do we do now?" Threx stood up and spoke so everyone could hear. "We go home. But the Council, let the Council deal with us. Let them poke the beast." He stared at the empty space where the warship had been. "But I won't." No one argued, because they all knew the truth now. Humans didn't need to fire weapons to destroy. They only had to warn you once. The air inside the alien command ship was tense. Commander Zurek's eyes were locked on the black screen. Every time they tried to scan the human warship, their systems either crashed or returned strange symbols. "Try again," he ordered. A young technician, hands shaking, tapped the console. "Sir, it's not responding. The signal is jamming our system." Again, Zurek slammed his fist on the armrest. "That ship is doing something to us, and we still don't know what it is." He turned to the science officer. "What happens when we approach it?" "Sir," the officer replied, "all power begins to flicker. Life support dips. Artificial gravity weakens." It's like our systems are being turned off, piece by piece. And the human ship? It just floats there. No movement, no communication, nothing. Zurek's eyes narrowed. It's watching us? On the human warship, deep inside its dark hull, Captain Mira Lawson stood silently. Her crew watched their screens, monitoring hundreds of signals. But one screen solid black was the most important. No sudden moves, Mira said calmly. Let them feel the pressure. They're panicking, her comms officer noted. Their backup systems are running on emergency power. They'll break soon, Mira replied. And then we'll speak. Back on the alien ship, a new signal appeared. Commander, incoming message from the human vessel. Everyone fell silent. The sound came slowly, not words, just a low hum, rising in tone. Vibrating the ship. It's affecting our bones, said one soldier, gripping his arm. No translation. Zurek asked none. But it feels like a warning. Zurek stood up. Enough. Prepare a shuttle. I want to board that ship myself. Sir, that's an order. 15 minutes later, a small alien shuttle approached the human warship. As it got closer, the sensors on board began to blink rapidly. Lights inside the shuttle flickered and then ... Silence. Myra watched from the bridge. They're here, said her pilot. Let them in, Myra said. Open Bay 9. The side of the human warship slid open, revealing a large hangar bathed in dim red light. The alien shuttle floated and guided. By unseen force, it landed. But no one moved, not from the shuttle, not from the humans, until a figure stepped out. Zurek, he was taller than most of his species, with sharp eyes and smooth blue skin. His hand rested on the sidearm at his waist, but as he looked around, he saw no weapons, no soldiers, only darkness and silence. Then a voice echoed through the bay. Welcome aboard. Zurek flinched. Who are you? He called out. The voice did not answer. Instead. The floor lights came alive one by one, leading him forward. He followed them. Zurek walked through silent corridors. The walls pulsed with soft light, like the heartbeat of something alive. He saw no one, he heard nothing, only the hum of the ship. Then he reached a door. It slid open. Inside sat Captain Mira Lawson. Alone, no guards, just a chair and her stare. You want to speak? She asked. Zurek studied her. She looked calm. To calm? What have you done to our systems? Mira smiled slightly. We haven't touched anything. Zurek's jaw clenched. Impossible. Your ship shuts down our tech. It blocks our scans. Even our minds feel off. Mira leaned forward. This ship doesn't attack. It defends. When you tried to scan us, you threatened us. So the ship protected itself. The ship has intelligence. Mira's eyes narrowed. It has instinct. Zurek stepped back. We came to warn you. This galaxy doesn't want human warships. Your presence is ... terrifying. Good, Mira said softly. Then it's working. Zurek blinked. You want them to fear you? Mira stood up slowly. No, I want them to respect us. But if fear is the only thing they understand ... so be it. Back on the alien command ship, the crew watched the black screen. No signal, no update, no word. From Zurek. Then, finally, the comms sparked alive. This is Commander Zurek. His voice said. Cheers broke out. Relief, but then he continued. Do not approach. Do not attack. Do not threaten. Everyone froze. What, sir? I've spoken with the human captain. I've seen their ship. I've felt what it can do. Listen to me now. He paused. This is not a war we can win. On the human warship, Mira stood alone at the viewing deck. She watched the alien fleet drift further and further away. Plot a course to the next system. Yes, Captain. And let the next fleet know, she added. If they want to understand humans, they should start with one question. What question, Captain? Mira smiled coldly. What kind of species builds a ship? ... that can think. The galaxy watched in silence. The human warship Spectre floated in orbit over the alien capital. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It simply remained silent, dark, and terrifying. Inside the alien High Council chamber, chaos reigned. They haven't moved in 3 hours, yelled Minister Duval. What are they waiting for? General Vraith growled. They've already shown us what they can do. Every system we tried to use against them failed. Weapons, shields, even our escape pods, all shut down the second their ship arrived. They're jamming everything, another officer said, shaking. Not just communications, gravity systems, internal sensors, even our thoughts feel heavy. But no one wanted to say the truth aloud. They were afraid. Truly, deeply afraid. The humans hadn't made a demand. They hadn't sent a threat, and that silence was worse than war. Aboard the Spectre, Captain Elise Varin watched the alien world below. "Status?" she asked calmly. Commander Ray nodded. "All systems stable. Cloaked modules remain online. No movement from their planetary defenses. They're frozen." Elise didn't smile. "Good. Maintain pressure, no contact. Let their fear do the work." Behind her, a silent room of officers kept working focused, precise, and controlled. They had been trained for moments like this. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to show dominance without lifting a finger. This was humanity's message. We are not to be underestimated. Meanwhile, on the alien planet's surface, panic began. Spreading among the population, emergency sirens had long stopped working. Power grids were fluctuating, and the sky once bright was now covered by the black shadow of the human ship. Children cried, elders whispered ancient prayers. Soldiers sat by their useless weapons, helpless. "Why don't they attack us?" His commanding officer responded, voice low and defeated, "Because they already have." On the bridge of the Spectre, a soft chime rang. Elise turned. "Talk to me. We have an incoming signal," Ray said. "From their High Council. It's not a threat. It's a request." "A request?" Ray nodded. "They want to talk, peacefully, privately. No public broadcast." Elise looked out the viewing window, eyes cold and focused. "Send them this message. You're not ready to speak with us. When you are, we'll know. Then cut all communication." "Yes, Captain." The message was sent. The silence returned. But that silence was louder than any explosion. Back on the alien world, the High Council sat in stunned silence. They rejected us. Minister Duvall whispered. Vroth slammed his fist on the table. "What do they want from us?" A quiet voice spoke at the end of the room. "They don't want anything," said the old historian, Chancellor Yavin. "They want us to learn?" "Learn what?" someone asked. "To stop seeing them as weak. To stop assuming they are behind us. They could have destroyed us 10 times over, but they didn't. That is not mercy. It is power." The room went quiet again. Meanwhile, above the planet, the Spectre slowly began to move. It turned, without a word, and vanished from the orbit. No trail, no sound, just gone. The galaxy exhaled, but they would never forget what happened. Weeks later, in the Galactic Assembly, representatives from dozens of species gathered in a secret meeting. A tall, armored figure stood in the center. It was Ambassador Kren of the Gorgal Empire, the very empire that first detected the Spectre. He began to speak. "We have faced many threats," he said, voice calm. "Black holes, civil wars, plagues. But none," he said, "have ever made us feel what humanity made us feel." He paused, letting the silence settle. "Fear," he said simply. "They didn't kill us. They didn't conquer us. They simply stood there. And everything we built, every shield, every defense, every arrogant belief, collapsed. That is, the real weapon. Not lasers, not bombs, but precision, patience, and silence." The room remained silent. He looked up. "So I ask you all, will we keep pretending humans are just newcomers? Or will we admit we've underestimated them for far too long?" No one spoke, but the fear was shared. The message had been received, loud and clear, back on Earth. "Captain." Elise stood at the cliff's edge, staring at the stars. Her mission was complete. She had never fired a shot, never broken a treaty, yet she had left an entire world trembling. A young cadet walked up behind her. "Did we win, Captain?" She turned slightly. "We didn't fight, but they're scared," she said, "because sometimes the most powerful weapon is knowing when not to use it." The stars blinked overhead and somewhere in the dark. The galaxy remembered the day. Silence screamed.